What's going on, guys? Big welcome to you all to our channel. We are team crushing the meta. Today you're here with Enjoyy, and yeah, as you can see, this is the part 2 of the premium video, premium deck, when it comes to our new beautiful big ass Lawless King. This boy single-handedly gave this deck lots and lots of life. The thing is, for me, it's really nice to switch back from the GB8s as my personal signature to more of an aggro deck. And this is one of the cards that helped me to get back into the aggro. I always played aggro as well, but I found the GB8 more fitting the format that we play in. But this deck changes things, as this strides, as he say, his name is lawless. So he doesn't really care that much about the law, and he's just changed it to the way he likes. So this is how the deck would look like. If you want to know more about other options, trigger lineup, stride deck, you could check the link in the description section below where the deck profile is. In the deck profile we talked a lot about the deck. Now it's time to show you guys how the deck actually works a little bit. So this is a combo video slash how the deck works. I would call it that. So what do you do during your grade 1, grade 2, grade 3 turns, and what happens when you stride? That's basically the important thing that we have right here. So let's say that, of course, the starter in this case is our beautiful running sniper, as this boy is a beautiful SP. So this is your starter, or my starter. I will play against you, so you will see the combo as if you were my opponent. Alright, so we have the running sniper right here. We ride into whatever grade 1 we have. It doesn't really make a big difference. You would rather not ride into Deadly Daisy, but if you have these two, then you could ride into whichever you like. The Dexter is good to keep on hand because you want him on the field, so you would rather ride into the Gyroslinger. And if you have something in your hand that you could put into your soul, something that is not necessary, sometimes you have 2 copies of him, then that's good. You could choose to put him into your soul to cost something from the top of your deck, but you will call the top card, and in most situations you would rather not do that because you don't have options, but sometimes you call something like a stand or whatever. Let's say that you ride into the Daisy, which means that you could not really use any skill, but yeah, it is what it is. You have these two in your hand, and because you don't have the quick shield, you would not ride into him, so you would just ride into Daisy and you end your turn. On the next turn, you basically want to ride into a Rona or into a Davy. It depends if you already have a Lucifer or not in your hand, and if you already have a Bull Spike in your hand or not. But in the case that you don't have any of them, you would ride into the Davy, and you will count +1 to call the Lucifer to the field, and the Lucifer could give you the counter charge back. If you have both options, then you would rather ride into Rona and keep this in your hand because this is a Dudley. So you would ride into Rona and call still the Lucifer if you have Dexter, or you have a Bull Spike in your hand. That would work. Count +1, call the Lucifer, Soul Blessed 1 to get the counter charge back. But in the case that you do not have any of them and you have your bad right target, which let's say in this case, let's say you have Fiona and you have this and this in your hand, you have all 3. You could also choose to ride into Fiona and call this in the back row, and that would be your turn. That would also work. You still have 2 attackers instead of the 3 attackers that you could have if you do it with let's say Rona. Again, it depends on what you have in your hand. But best case scenario, let's say you have these. So you call them, you get the counter charge, you soul blast 1, which would leave you with only 2 soul for the next turn, but he will give you soul, so it's good. Alright, so what happens now, right here, you attack, 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 and then it's the next turn. You stand and you draw, you write into Rising. You need the 1 counterblast, but you already have one because you got it from him. And if you have the 2 counterblasts, even better, which I will show you later. Then right here, you would still keep this in your hand, and you will call the Dexter, or you will call something like the bow spike from your hand. Or if you don't have any of them, you could still try to get it with a gyro slinger. As I said during the deck profile, gyro slinger actually fixes everything. So let's say that you don't have the bow spike in your hand. You could just go gyro slinger, put this into your soul, and try to call something like a bow spike, which would work. But again, we will not do if scenarios. We will do scenarios that we know that it works. So you put the agile fallback into your soul at the start of your turn to call a new agile fallback, and the agile fallback that you call will also get the power, the extra 10k. So that's nice. Let's use some dices right here. Is this the right one? No, it's not. Sad. Sometimes life could be sad. Alright, so we have the agile fallback. Now, as I said, we kept the Dexter in the hand, so we call Dexter, activate the ability to put the Lucifer into your soul, and then to call 2 cards from your deck, and you will call a Lucifer and a bow spike. Or a bow spike and a Lucifer. Then you use the skill of Rising to soul blast something from your soul. What do you want to soul blast? Depend on what you want to do next turn. You could choose to soul blast this, so you could use your G-Guard to get more power out of it, or you could use to soul blast them or this to recycle. Again, pretty much up to you. And this situation, I would rather soul blast the starter because I still have enough Lucifers left in my deck. So soul blast my starter, our starter, to copy these 2. And remember, we kept 1 of this on hand, and as we said, we have to counterblast this, and his skill was kind of free because we keep calling the Lucifer and countercharging that damage. So what you do right here, you have the pull spike ability that you could move the markers. So let's create 2 markers, and let's use this one and this one. My neighbor to throw. So let's put them right here. Alright, so how would you want to play this? You have 3 soul, and you have the ability of Lucifer to recall something by eating 1 of your regards. So you could attack with this first, then soul blast 1, move the markers to this side, and then attack with this, then soul blast 1, and move the markers right here, and then you're attacking into a grade 2, so you will attack like this, and then at the end of this battle you will attack with your Vanguard, and now you will not move the markers, so this will be just 13. Then you use the skill of Lucifer, which is a counterblast 1. Of course, during this you could still, if that attack did not hit, retire and draw, or wait until after your Vanguard to retire and draw, pretty much up to you. I would just use it. If you could, just use it. You get the extra draw is good. So now, when this boy attack, you counter +1, you put 1 of your regards into your soul, you will put the 1 that is chilling on the markers. So you put it into your soul, and you call something from your hand with Dudley and Scarner. So you will call the Davy that you kept in your hand. And then, if your opponent is a grade 3, blah blah blah, you give power, but your opponent is not a grade 3, otherwise you will not be doing this, you will stride. So the Davy right here will activate, and you could also choose to put the Davy on the top of him, that would work as well. And this is, so the ball spike is still chilling here. This is not ball spike. The ball spike's still chilling here, and you could choose to put this into your soul and call right here. and doesn't really make that big of a difference. And now you activate the skill of the grade 2, which is Deadly Davy, to call 2 units to the field, or 1, up to you. If you think that you could finish your opponent off, you could choose to put Davy right here and call the Daisy and use the Soul Blast of 1 to call the Lucifer from your deck, and you could still countercharge, but that would leave you with no soul. You could also choose to not do it like this and to just leave this in your soul, and to with the Davy you could just call a Lucifer from your deck. If you do that, then you have enough soul to move the markers around, which is more benefit than calling the Daisy. Also, Daisy will go back to your deck with the grade 3 that you called, so you would rather do it like this. And this is fine as well, because what happens right here is you could still choose to Soul Blast 1 to move the markers to your Rising, and you have 1 soul, but that's good. So your Rising attacks right here, and then at the end of the battle you Soul Blast 1, move the markers to your Davy, and when you move the markers to your Davy, you activate the Davy skill to Soul Charge 1, because you move the marker to them, and then you could Soul Blast again to move the markers to this, and you attack, which is really strong. It's a very strong turn with having the combination of Lucifer and the Bull Spike. Okay, so that's for the grade 3 turn. What happens the turn after that when you get into your stride? That's the most important turn. So even if your opponent just got rid of these 2, but let's say that your opponent just went attacked your Vanguard and you have 2 or 3 counterblasts to work with. As I said, during this turn you only need the 2 counterblasts. I didn't show it to you, but I hope that you guys could keep up. If not, let me know and I will show it to you with the face down damage. So you end your turn with 2 face down damage. You could choose to turn one of them face up if you want to use your Lucifer to Soul Blast, but that only works if you have enough soul and if you have used something like a Gyro Slinger in the early game. Otherwise you would not have enough soul, because you need to keep 1 soul to move it to this side. You get the soul back to move it to that side again. Alright, so next turn, let's say for some stupid reason your opponents left everything on the field, but even if they take them out, you still could do shenanigans. So next turn you will ride into whatever, as long as you get a marker, it's good. But if you could ride into a Rising, that's even better. You could choose to divide your markers, like here and there. So if you have another Rising in your hand, that's perfect. You ride into Rising, and then you create 2 more markers. Let's do this one, and this one looks nice. So you put the markers right here, and this will activate the ability because you have put markers on his circle, so you still Soul Charge 1. That soul is nice. Soul is nice. Alright, so right here you stride into the New Boy, and New Boy right here will make the big difference. You activate the skill of Full Back only if you have a full back left in your deck. If not, then it's kind of not necessary to do it, because it's you still have the grade 2 left, which is good. So I will show to you later what happens if you would not use his ability. But again, Agile fullback comes to the field, he gets the extra power, and he could attack from the back row because he's placed. Now you need to move the Davy back and to call something to the field that you want to attack with. In this case, if you have a stand trigger in your hand, so the Mega Instructor, that's again perfect scenario. Alright. So what happens now? Now whenever something attacks, it gets the plus 10k and it goes to the bottom of the deck. This would be the 10k that he will give, the black one. So, alright, so the first attacker right here will be the full back. Full back attacks at the end of the battle, it goes to the bottom of your deck. And of course, it gets the plus 10k. So it's 30k attack. Alright, now this will attack. You could do it with or without the booster. pretty much up to you. I would do it with a booster because we will use him right away. So this would be 21, 31, get power from him, so 41 with the double crits. Then at the end of the battle, this will go back to the deck. Alright, now you attack with him. This could not boost, but this is still good. This is 14, 24, which hits even above a trigger. At the end of the battle, this will go to the bottom of your deck, activating his ability. If you don't know his ability, it's GB1, so you need to stride or have something face up in your G-zone. And then when this card is put into your deck from Vanguard, you may pay the cost, which is put a card from your hand to the soul. You take one of your Vanguards, you bind it, and you call it. The good thing about this card is it doesn't need to be charged, because he puts it back with his own ability. It works. So he goes, you put a card from your hand into the soul, and you take one of your Vanguards, you bind it, and you call it. And you still keep it in the back row. I will tell you later why. The grade 2, which is Rona or Davy, are the playmakers with the ambush texture. These are the cards that will make the big difference during his turn. So you call this boy back by playing his ability. That's why you need the counterblast of 2 at least for this combo. So let's say that you have 3 counterblasts to work with. So you counterblast 1 for his ability, then you counterblast 1 for his ability, and then you call something from your deck. Right here, you would call the Daisy. Daisy comes right here or right there. The numbers will not be good, so it doesn't really make that big of a difference, because the Daisy will Soul Blast, and we will call the Lucifer that we just put back to the deck. Remember that he calls you 2 grade 2s, so you call Davy, and of course your other grade 2 that you call is the Agile fullback. So he calls these 2, and then this boy calls Davy, and Davy calls Lucifer, and then Lucifer's skill Soul Blast 1 more to get the counter charge. So you have the 2 counter blasts to go another round. Right, he gets plus 10k. And the reason why I said that doesn't really matter how you place them, because this is 16 and this is 21, so it's the same. So now you attack again. If they are on 4 damage, you just want to hit them first with the force 2s. So you attack with this, then attack with this, and then attack with this. And then, of course, at the end of the battle, they all go back to your deck. They all get the 10k. I will not go and explain everything. I'm just showing the combo to you guys. So now you attack with the Lawless King. You Soul Blast back 1, and now you want to call 1 or 2 instructors. In this case, if you have this field, you could just go double instructor. So the instructors right here, this attacks, you do your drive check, and then you continue on attacking. So what you do right here is, by having the double instructor to the field, you could be very flexible about the way you want to call your stuff. So you could choose to go instructor number 1, and then at the end of the battle, the instructor will go to the bottom of your deck. You put a card from your hand into your soul, and then you bind and call the Davy, or you bind and call the Ambush Dexter. In the best case scenario, you could attack like this, because again, he gets boost from his ability. So you attack, and then you put this goes back. You put the card from your hand to your deck. You bind and call the Ambush Dexter. The Ambush Dexter skill, counterblast of 1, and then you will put this into your soul and create 2 grade 2s, which in this case will be the Agile fullback again. And right here you call the Rona. Rona will help you to get the counter charge back with something like the Lucifer, and you could continue on attacking. So Rona skill activates counterblast 1, and we need to call the Lucifer right here because we need the counter charge for our last Dexter. So you Soul Blast 1 and you counter charge. It's perfect. Now you continue on attacking, so you attack with this, gets of course the 10k extra, so this 30k again goes back to the deck, and do not attack with this. So you attack with this first, gets of course the 10k, goes back to the deck, and then you attack with him as last attacker, get the 10k. This is also beautiful, 12, 22, 32 if you're attacking into an XL. Then this goes back to the bottom of your deck, and activating his ability costs you a card from your hand to the soul. You bind and call the Ambush Dexter, and the Ambush Dexter skill, +1, put the grade 2 into your soul. And now you could create 2 grade 2s. You could choose to put this right here to have him as an attacker, and then of course you will call this one, and the last grade 2 that you call to the field could be a Fiona, or could be a Jumbo the Stun Gun. If you call Jumbo the Stun Gun, then you have a counterblast left for next turn, but in most cases you want to call a good attacker, so you call Fiona, and Fiona's skill will activate by Soul Blasting 1 and giving one of the units an extra 10k, and of course you'll put it on whatever. This also got the 10k, and let's make Fiona blue. So this is how your field would look like. You attack with this again, you give him the power, so, or you could also leave him as last attacker, so you could hit them with the 2 forces first. So you attack with Fiona. Fiona will get the 10k from his ability, so this would be 30k. Then she goes back to the bottom of the deck, and then you could attack with him. The Ambush Dexter will get the extra 10k as well, so this is 38, and then this would be your last attacker, which again will be 30. At the start of your turn, you could also have done it like this, with this there. Depend on how much damage your opponent have, and it depends if you think how many triggers that they get. This is safer option, because then this column will hit anyway. Well, this column could be a 5k shield, or maybe sometimes does not hit. Then you make strong attacks on one column. That would work. But if they get above the 30k, then he will not hit as well. So some of your combos will stop working. Them getting 2 triggers could be tricky against the Lawless King, especially with the combo that you use with him. So that's basically the combo. If you count the attacks, it's insane how much you could do, especially by having the instructor early on, calling it to the field the way I showed to you, and then keep repeating the progress, and having only 3 counterblast works. Having 2 counterblast works. Having 1 counterblast works. Having no counterblast at all still works, but you will just do different combos depending on how many counterblasts you have. But 3 counterblasts, this is the combo, which is, I would say, your biggest combo. If you would have a 4th one, then you would have a strong attacker, but you would not have an extra attacker anymore, because this is the maximum amount that you could do. Alright, that's actually it for this video. Again, I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Sometimes I went a little bit too fast for you guys, but I think it doesn't really matter. You got a feeling for how the deck works during the early game and the late game, and then after this you could go to whatever stride you want. You could go another time into him. If you go to him as a first stride, the combo still works as long as you have some counterblasts to work with, as long as you have the right cards in your hand to work with. And even if you have nothing, even if your hand is so bad and your field is so bad and whatever is bad, you could still just attack with him and then create field. You could create the Dudleys. Could just be like, you could just do this, like this comes to the field, activate the ability, get this one. You could just do that, and then gets the Lucifer. I mean, you could create this field out of nothing, and then having, of course, another instructor to work with. So you could create this field by just attacking with him, because you call these 2, and then you activate the Davy ability. If you have like 1 or 2 counterblasts to work with, you call these. This will call these 2, and of course you counterblast 1, then you soul blast 2. This call, she calls the Lucifer gets the counter charge, and then he will get boost because of his ability. So this would be insane. So this would be attack number 1, attack number 2. This is charge because it was called by his ability. This goes to the bottom of your deck. This goes to the bottom of your deck. You choose the charge ability, so to activate, put a card from your hand to the soul, bind and call, activate the ability by counterblasting 1, and then you basically will have your attackers again, just like that, just like that. And you only needed one counterblast to work with, and you could still countercharge it at the end of the turn because you call him, and then you attack, and then everything will go back to the bottom of your deck. I mean, so good, so good, so effective. That's it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. So till next time.